Well, I don't know how well you're following along with what we're going through here, but the stated purpose that Jesus had was to be with them, not to use them, not to build a church, but to be with him, be with them. And after being with them, they would go out to preach. That was his stated purpose in Mark 3:14. I want you to consider with me the life of the greatest missionary, greatest pastor the world has ever seen. He spent a maximum of 3.5 years, somewhere between 3 and 3.5 years, doing the work. Yet when he left his ministry after his first term, all he would have had together were 120 people, counting women, for the first time. That was the ministry Jesus had. You see, if you were playing the big church game, if you're playing the numbers game, you'd have to say maybe Jesus failed. If those are your goals, then Jesus didn't reach those goals. But when you consider that he gave his life to train 12 men who would shape the entire world in one lifetime and in one generation, you have to realize he made a difference. His life was greatly used, and your life will be greatly used. But you've got to make up your mind what your goal is. So many pastors, it's about, I want to preach through the Bible. I want to have a revival in my church. I want my people to love Jesus. All those are good things. But Jesus was about training men who would take the gospel to the world and send them out. What was his goal? Was it to rapidly plant churches? Not really. It wasn't about how many churches he planted. It was about how many men he trained. Now those men would go on to start churches and to plant churches. And so Jesus was doing that. But somewhere along the way, we've kind of gotten off track. We have let other ministries and wrong goals lead us off the track. We have gone after seeing a lot of people saved. We want to see a lot of people saved, and that is so good. There's nothing you can say negative about somebody wanting to see a lot of people saved. Of course we do. We've gone after getting crowds to come to our church, and well, it hadn't really worked out as well as it could. We've worked at getting big buildings and impressive buildings, and we have worked at having a great church and building a great church. We've worked at getting our people to be holy. But Jesus chose 12 men that they might be with him, that he might send them forth to preach the gospel. I just want to remind you of that. That's what Jesus did. And if that's what Jesus did, it might be wise of us to consider the same thing. What are you doing in your ministry? I still want to see you preaching through the Bible. I still want to see you being an expository preacher. So does the Lord. But you were given a commission to get the gospel to the world, and you'll do that by training your church to do all they can do and be all they can be to take the gospel to the world in our generation.